I love that.
I kind of feel like this is more formal, more upscale.
We are upscale podcasters. I don't know if everybody knew that, but Steve's kind of a big deal. Oh, look at us. We are the Fostering Collective, in case you didn't know.
All right. Hey, dads, thanks for inviting us to your drive time. We are wanting to take advantage of your long trip. We know that some of you are driving from a long ways away, and so we just wanted to say, hey, why wait till they get there to the cabin? Let's go ahead and start now. So here we are starting now. We want to help you get ready and get the right mindset so when you get into the cabin, right when you open up the doors, you are ready to go. And be able to start now to start lowering your stress levels of your work, home, and start getting into a process of not just rest, but also receiving, because there's some big things coming at this retreat.
Yeah, for sure, Steve. It's really exciting to see what's going to happen at this retreat. And Steve, I'm excited to have you along the ride for this retreat, and you've done a lot of planning, and I'm thankful for that. And so you want to tell them a little bit about who you are?
Sure, yeah. So I'm the newest guy on staff, newest guy. That's the specific thing. So yeah,
emphasis on guy.
Yeah,
thank you.
Guy. So we are. I'm really excited to be a part of this team. So onboarded in November and just been blessed every single day. I come home and say, I loved today. I love today.
Awesome.
I love today. I am a father of 3. Actually, if I want to be really technical, I'll say 5.
Okay.
So I have 3 that, one lives with me. He's a senior. His name is Wesley. I have a college student. He's a junior at Laterno. And then I have a daughter who has her own family of her own, and she has her own kids. So I am a granddad of 2 years. Adeline is 2 years old, and I have a new grandson, 4 months old. So his name is Hudson. I have also fostered and adopted, and the story of our adoptions is one of pain and of brokenness, but it's still something that God has used many, many times. And I also have a daughter who lives in heaven with Jesus, so he's taking care of her right now.
Yeah. So, well, we're so thankful to have you on board and just your leadership. My name is Justin Hayes. If anybody doesn't know me, I'm the executive director at the Fostering Collective. I do have 6 kids. I do have 1 in college, which is wonderful. I've got 4 in high school, 4 teenagers in high school, and I'm still alive. And then to top it all off, I have a wonderful 5-year-old, and he makes everything fun all the time. And I've been married to my wife, Christy, for almost 25 years, and excited about what God has for our next 25 years.
Right.
And but for this retreat, it's been really cool to see how it's come together because we have 3 great ministries that are involved. We've got, of course, the Fostering Collective, but we partnered. This is the second year we've partnered with For the Sake of One up in Texarkana, and just a great ministry that's been around for a while and been great partners. And then we've got some wonderful people coming from Embrace, which is a ministry in McKinney. And Embrace is like one of the, if you can call it, one of the founding fathers of bridge organizations that are ministering to foster and adoptive families. And so we've been big fans of Embrace for a long time, and thankful for their leadership, and so thankful to be able to bring these dads together. So we've got about 30 dads that are we're all going to be together in the same cabin. It's going to be awesome. And so we decided, why don't we just get like the biggest honking cabin we could ever find? And so that's what we're going to do.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
I think you have the biggest one in Hochatown.
Hochatown.
Yeah. So that's pretty. Being able to work on this project. I know you've been praying about this for a whole year, and so now it's here. So I can't imagine what kind of enjoyment and kind of readiness that you're having right now for that, for these men.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of these guys coming, and there's going to be new relationships. I get to know everybody all brand new, so that's going to be fun.
So no pressure.
No pressure. And so we'll be able to learn a lot from each other. Justin and I, we go way back, college time. But I won't. We'll tell you more about that when you get to the cabin. But yeah, we are college people as well. ETBUers,
For sure.
ETB whites. I don't know what they call them.
I don't know. We're Tigers.
We're
That's all
Tigers.
I know.
There we go. We're Tigers. That's exactly right.
I even pulled Steve on a trip to Uganda one time, but that's what happens in Uganda
stays in Uganda. I've got some pretty great stories over there. Jumping out of a bus to get at some razors because I was really scratchy. And just
He was turned into Bigfoot.
it was pretty bad. But we got to preach in
Umbarada.
Umbarada. Did I say that right? No, I did not.
Sure. It's great.
That was a highlight, being able to preach at that. And I remember there was some missionaries from the States, and they came just so they can hear English for a little bit. I remember that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you've told me the story before that this is kind of a ministry that kind of came from your time with Uganda.
For sure.
And so.
Yeah, there were times that I would go into churches and I'd say, man, they are doing a wonderful job taking care of orphans in Uganda. And I really think that they're doing a better job of taking care of orphans in East Africa than we are in East Texas. And I didn't realize that God was going to use that to say, hey, guess what? This is what you're going to do next. But we've got some great people coming to the retreat. We've got some great leaders that are going to pour into us. And one of them who's going to be leading our sessions is Jason Johnson.
Yeah, he'll be online in just a little bit. So
yeah, any minute now.
Oh, he's waiting right now.
He's waiting?
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get him on.
Put him on the spot.
We should. I'm going to click on that right there, see if that's the right button to push. Hey, Jason. I might have. There we go. Hey, Jason. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you. Hey, guys.
There you. There we go. We're kind of trying out some new equipment here. And
all right.
So we're going to try to do some podcasting stuff for people in East Texas, pastors and families. And so that's why we got the headsets on, because we want to look cool.
Well, it's working.
Is it working? Sweet.
Well, and Steve also added, some other wonderful stuff. So
Nice.
we got
Well,
googly eyes.
yeah. So I have a reason for that, real quick.
Okay.
So the reason is because I want this to be available for the other team members to, if they hear a story, they can feel good about walking up, get a mic, record, and just record the story. And this looks a little intimidating sometimes, and so I thought googly eyes always make things look less intimidating. Do you agree?
Nice. Yep.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, man, we're excited about you coming on the retreat, and I know we talked about this a long time ago, and I know you and Steve have gotten to talk several times since then. So, man, we appreciate your time. It really means a lot to us, and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Looks like a nice place.
Yeah. It will be nice, and the weather actually looks like it's gonna be really good too.
Yeah.
So for January, it will be really good. So that's
Cool.
awesome.
Yep.
Good deal.
Hard to know in Oklahoma because it can turn on a dime. So
Yeah, for sure.
but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, you've known Justin for a while. I've known you for a couple of cohort meetings, and so being able to get to talk to you personally without other people listening in, this is a treat for me. So your books have already impacted me and my family, and so I look forward to being able to gain some of that and have that. Watch men be transformed by some of the things that you're going to present during the weekend. Tell us more a little bit about what you do and where you're at and projects you've got in your holster.
Yeah. Gosh. The short version, I suppose, is I get to work with an organization called CAFO, where I get to serve churches and really work with organizations that are interacting with churches. But anything church related is what I get to do, and a lot of that comes from my background with being on staff at churches and growing up a pastor's kid, and then pastoral ministry and church planting in Houston, which is where my wife and I became foster parents, along with our three girls at the time. We were foster family, three little girls at the time. They're still girls, just not little girls anymore. Now we've got 19, 17, 15, and almost 13. And we live in College Station to be close to my wife's family. And We fostered for a number of years, and that started out with little girls and then evolved into older age girls, and then that evolved into actually we brought moms with babies into our home, which was a whole different dynamic. And so we've been on quite a number of different journeys. And one of the placements, actually, our very first placement resulted in adoption. And so our youngest was actually adopted through foster care. So we've hit on a number of different aspects of the whole journey, from babies to adoption to working with biological moms to grieving hard goodbyes and all the above.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. One of the things that when I first started getting the onboarding process, Justin did was he said, read this book. And it was your book.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. So I wanted to give you two a chance to kind of talk about what that book meant to the Fostering Collective, why it's a foundational book, and what maybe some of the purposes you had as the dads are driving. So, Dad, I want you to listen in on what the purpose of this book and this ministry is about. And so,
And the book we're talking about is Reframing Foster Care, and it's ended up being a book that we give to every individual and couple that is praying about becoming a foster parent or praying about adoption. And what I love about the book is that it really looks at it from several perspectives, but a lot of times we have our perspective, but then it spends a lot of time looking from the child's perspective, but it also looks from God's perspective and God's heart for foster care and adoption. And so it's been a wonderful way for us to, we have limited time with these couples, but I always tell them, I said, this is a great book. It's an easy read, and I encourage you to read it together. So many times in a couple, one person will read the whole book, and then the other one will get started. And I said, read it together, and it's a great book for that.
Yeah. I'll be honest. Most of the guys I meet, they usually front load their statement with, my wife came across your blog, or my wife read your book, and then have me read it. And hopefully some of the guys that show up will just be straight up and say, you know what, I read it first. I was the tip of the spear on this. It doesn't always have to be front loaded with my wife made me do it.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's good. Yeah, and really the heart of it was and is. Frankly, when I was still pastoring our church and we were a foster family, that was an interesting dynamic. And it was back in the day when there wasn't nearly the number of resources for churches out there then that there are now. And so the idea of like support groups was foreign. Like, we thought we were making it up. Hey, maybe we should get together with other foster families and like encourage each other. That's brilliant, and now it's like, duh, that's called a support group or something like that, but at the time it was just, we're just making stuff up as we go. And so I remember actually being in a support group with families in our church, and I'm the pastor of the church, and that's an impossible hat to take off. Even when you're among we just want to be a family in the middle of other families. And I remember, as the pastor of the church, first off, as a foster parent, thinking, this is the worst support group ever. And as the pastor of the church, thinking, this is the worst support group ever. And it's happening at our church. And it wasn't because of the people in it. It was because there was no guiding mechanism. Sometimes support groups or just relationships among people that are on this journey, if it's not filtered through something that's guiding, it can become a big gripe session or a big therapy session. And we found we want to get together and be able to be honest and bring some hard things and some joys, and then be aligned back around the truth of Scripture and the truth of the gospel. And that's kind of the guidepost that's guiding our time together, that it's a redemptive conversation, not we're all giving therapy to like the worst person in the room who's going through the biggest struggle, or we're all griping about some aspect of the journey. So that's actually where the idea came from. And then it just was a collection of different things over the years put together in the book that I hope can be a guidepost that brings us back to the truth of the gospel, regardless of what it might be that we're walking through.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Jason, your experience is a lot like mine. I was a youth pastor when we were fostering, and the congregation, in their best heart, their heart foot forward, would oftentimes be hurtful or non-helpful to the process of healing for our family, and sometimes came across as judgmental, sometimes came across, and so some of it was us for sure, and they'd be able to process what are they really saying, what are they really doing, but then it was a next part of it was they have their own ideas, and so we have all these worldviews and coming together at this little girl, and it was just a hard thing to process. And I had that same idea. I even turned around in my chair in my office and I looked at all the books on my shelf and I was like, y'all are no help. There is no help on any of these books here. It was crazy. Yeah. And so, so it was, I loved one of your statements in there was about the scarcity mindset. I thought that was a pretty powerful insight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's, again, it's something that we can find, that, for example, is something we can find ourselves operating in. We might not have language for it. And it's just helpful to have some kind of resource or person say, hey, this might be how you're operating, and you don't even realize it because you're just surviving the process. And it's important to just be woken up and lift our heads up and be reminded of some things that are true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, also, Jason, I'm looking at the time. I know you have a hard stop coming up real quick, and so we wanted to give you the amount of time to talk about the study. And so,
well, I'm just thinking about we get to this cabin, and of course we've got this huge cabin, and we got 30 guys that are coming together, but a lot of them don't know each other, and and they're probably listening to this while they're on their way and got a lot of questions in their mind. But I was just thinking about what you were saying about these support groups. So as we walk into this retreat, what are some things that they can expect? What are you hoping to be able to share and lead us through?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to be a part of this, and the fact that you guys would put the work in to even create a space for men to gather is huge, is significant. And so if you're a guy that's listening to this and you're someone that's on your way there or is planning on being there, like, what a gift that we've been given to be together. And just to be frank, there are a multitude of opportunities for moms to get together, and few and far between for the guys. And so just really take advantage of this time and this opportunity, because it's a gift and it's an honor to be there. And we're going to hang out a lot, I imagine. You guys will have a lot planned, and while guys might show up and not know each other, there is going to be, some of them might not know each other, there is going to be an immediate bond and connection, because we're all on some kind of similar journey, and we don't have to explain ourselves to each other. We're able to say things that very few people outside of this circle can really understand. So I think there's a unifying factor there immediately that goes far beyond, do we know each other? Do we have the same interests, kind of thing. So I really would want us to lean into that. I imagine there's going to be a lot of fun stuff to do and some hangout time, but we'll spend a few sessions together, and I really want them to feel more like conversations than presentations. Nobody wants to go away for the weekend and have somebody just talk at them the whole time. So we're going to start with the gospel, and how that is not just the thing that like compels us into this, it's also the sustaining aspect of this. It keeps us, it holds us, it reminds us of what's true. And then it also is what's put on display through it, that you guys are really leading your families and loving your families in a way that is unbelievably counter-narrative to the vast majority of people around you. And that's why they say things that, and to the best they can, things like, you're awesome, you're wonderful, I can never do what you do. And I hear those as, that's the best words they can come up with for the strange thing that they're seeing, which is somebody living very countercultural, very counter-narrative to the broad narrative, which is build a comfortable life and don't do anything hard and insulate and isolate yourself from things that are inconvenient. And then they see you guys living very differently than that, and it's hard to put words to. But that's the gospel, and it's very counter-narrative and countercultural to that. And so we're just going to remind ourselves of that. And I think probably the most important thing we can do is have the capacity to preach the gospel to ourselves along this journey. We're not always going to be surrounded by other people that get it. We're not always going to be on a retreat together talking about the gospel. Most of the time, we're going to be stuck in our own head or alone in our room, and we have to be able to preach truth to ourselves. And so that's what we'll talk about for a little while. We'll talk about our marriages. We'll talk about our families. And I think especially there, we'll have just great conversation around what works for you guys. What have you found to be healthful rhythms for your family, for your marriage? How do you keep your marriage a priority? How are you handling, some hard things maybe with some kids in your home and the effect it's having on other kids in your home, right? So I think there's a lot of wisdom to be shared around that conversation. We'll talk about ourselves a little bit. Like we'll have to say, you know what, in getting involved in some hard broken places has revealed some hard broken places in me. And it's like, hey, I didn't get into this to like do work on myself, but here I am. I have like, we're all kind of confronted by, and I'll say this, I have been confronted by some of the best parts of me. Like, man, I'm far more capable than I thought, and I'm handling some of this a lot better than I ever dreamed I would be able to, right? It reveals some of the best about us. It also reveals like some of the absolute worst. You're like, oh my God, I'm horrible. I'm a horrible human. This is awful, right? And you go, man, I got some work to do on me. And so I want to have those conversations as well. And I think that's important. And I'm particularly interested in like, hey, what's been the most surprising part about this for you in terms of like some really good things that's revealed in you and in your marriage and in your family? Like let's celebrate some of those bright spots. And then I think an important conversation for us guys we'll end with is this conversation around what is success and failure. I think most of us in our worlds, whatever occupation we're in, it doesn't matter. There's kind of an unspoken and sometimes a very clearly spoken expectation that success equals advancements, progress, growth, production. And then we look at this journey and if we were to use the same metric of determining success, we might go, gosh, this feels like a failure.
Yeah.
And I think what we find in Scripture is that there's a very, very different definition of what success is in the kingdom of God. And I think that's important for us to leave our time with before we head back home after the weekend, with a very, very clear understanding of what's my guidepost on success. So what am I aiming at here? Because it's going to be very different than the cultural understanding of what success and failure is.
Wow. I can imagine already maybe some of the dads have already pressed pause and just kind of thought about what that means and what that is going to entail. I know being prepared for some of these conversations is going to help a lot of the guys to get ready, and so I'll be one of those coming in there. And so the picture that I have is there's going to be 30 vehicles or so, all pointed towards this one place. And each of those vehicles are filled with worldview, mindset, ethics to self-perception, identity, and they're going to come to this one place and get some catalyzing information that's going to possibly transform some things. And so when they get to go home to their wives, they're going to go, I think I'm a different dude.
Yeah. I hope so. Things like this, to have realistic expectation that you might be coming and you're like, I'm fine. I'm like, things are fine. But my wife said you should go and seems cool, so I'll go. And that's great. And there's going to be some guys that come and they're like on the edge. They're at the end of their rope and they're ready to give up and quit. And there's going to be everything in between.
Yep.
And the expectation coming into this is not, all right, every question I have will get answered and every problem and struggle I have will be solved. I actually think of these things in terms of, not every question you have will be answered. Actually, you might leave with more questions, just better questions to ask than the ones you're currently asking, right? And some questions will be answered, but also you might leave with new questions, but they're better. Um, some issues that you feel like you're having to confront or come up against, you may gain some clarity on, but some new ones might arise. Like you might go, yeah, God, like I've been pushing that back to the back burner and trying to pretend like that's not a thing. And it was really kind of drawn up to the surface. And I realized I've been focusing on the other things more as smoke screens to avoid the real thing. And so you might leave with just as many things to deal with, just different things, maybe even better, more important things. So I think that's the expectation coming in. And also just, again, going back to what I said, the gift, just receiving the gift of this is is important. You guys didn't have to plan this retreat. You didn't wake up one day and say, you know what, we don't have enough to do. Let's plan a big retreat, Uh, so this is a gift. And I think we all come able to receive good gifts from this weekend, but also I think it's equally true. We all come with the ability to bring good gifts. And I really would love for guys to show up and be willing and ready to just share their experience, share their wisdom, and offer the good gifts of their perspectives and their wisdom and their insight that they've gained along their journey. So we come kind of with open hands, one to receive and one to give and to offer.
Yeah, that's one of the most exciting things for me is just being able to connect with some dads and hear them make connections. I'll never forget one of the first groups I was in with dads that were foster and adopt dads. One dad shared you could just see the embarrassment on his face and as he shared that he had a child that was dealing with gender identity and he just had no idea what to do. And as soon as he shared that, another dad said, "Hey, I just walked through that with my kid." And I mean, just to see his face light up as like somebody else understands, it was just really cool. And I know that we're going to have a lot of those moments this weekend.
Yeah.
It's going to be cool.
Yeah, that's good. And it's not even, and I love that because it's, hey, I don't have all the answers and we haven't figured it out, but I can at least understand. And you're not alone in this.
Right.
And that's good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
I have this picture too. Another picture. I'm a visual guy, but I've always had this. Like if we were all soccer balls. Hold on. And on
Wow.
on all the little sections of that soccer ball, we write our joys, our pains, our gifts, our detriments. We write them all down. And so like Jason, if I came up to you and I showed you my pain spot, there's a natural thing I think that the other person going to show us their pain spot and they're going to hit touch, not match.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not going to match,
Right.
but they're going to touch.
Yeah.
And I had a mentor say when they share their pain story with yours, even if it doesn't match completely, like when we lost our daughter, we had a friend say, "I know exactly how you feel. When our house didn't sell, it was so," and I was like, "Stop." But then with that counsel already in my heart was okay. For some reason that they're connecting, this is their pain story for that, and so being able to see that men are touching are coming together and bringing their stories to a place where we can understand each other and see what God's doing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's good.
Yeah. So
everybody gets a soccer ball? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, let's do that. I didn't think
Yeah.
about that, but maybe I'll go to Academy and buy out all the soccer balls.
30 soccer balls.
That's good.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we can look forward to, and so just some of the things that are in Hochatown. There's actually a sign in there that shows how to say it, because I always say Hochatown. That's not right. And so Hochatown. What are some?
Not
of the
right
things?
for a lot of reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Yeah, that I've actually had the pleasure to go to the Broken Bow area. I've been going there since I was 10 on family reunions, and so we used to camp down by the lake every summer, and now we get a cabin with our greater large family, and so it's been really cool. So there's tons of stuff to do. Of course, in January it's a little bit different than in the summer, but there is a lot of hiking. It's just beautiful around there. There's some wonderful restaurants. There's a petting zoo. If anybody really feels inclined to go to a petting zoo, I think it'd be really cool to take all these dads to a petting zoo.
Yeah.
But there is a casino.
I wasn't going to bring that up, Justin.
Yeah. Don't look at the casino. But there is a Starbucks in the casino, so maybe you could just go to
Yeah,
Starbucks.
there's a general store too.
Yeah, there's a general store. But the cabin itself, even if we have bad weather, which the weather looks like it's going to be great, the cabin itself has tons of stuff that we can do to hang out. There's even a mini golf course outside the cabin, so we're going to be all right.
There's a lot of things at that cabin. It's
Yeah.
pretty fantastic.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I saw it online. When you guys say cabin, like it's the most loose definition of the word cabin
Right.
that I've ever seen.
It's
Yeah,
almost it's the opposite of rustic. It's bougie.
Yeah.
Would that be the word?
Yes.
So dads, as you're coming in, you're going to want to hear us say the words like you're going to be staying in the master king suite. That's what you're going to want. You're going to want us to hear you say that. So,
yeah.
2 hot tubs,
Yeah.
2 10-person hot tubs. I should
Two
have added.
10-person hot tubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. All that being said, not everybody is going to get their own king size bed. We will be packing it in a little bit, but we'll have a good time.
We will.
So
We will. Digging into scripture, digging into what we are as a community of men of faith. I think that's one of the things we see in scripture. It's all from the beginning of the table of contents of the maps. You see community, and getting together. And so, if we separate and isolate ourselves, and I know as a foster dad, there was a time where I was like, I don't want to hear any more advice. I don't want to hear any more words of wisdom. I don't want to hear any more of this person needs some serious. I don't want to hear any of that. And I found myself as pastor of a church, even though I was youth pastor, but pulling away from some of those relationships that were key. And so being able to kind of stay in there, stay in that community. We can't do it alone. That's what I learned. We can't do it alone. I've tried. It doesn't work.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the gift of this weekend is you got guys that you don't have to explain yourself to, and you can say things here that if you said at work, most of your coworkers would have no idea what you're talking about and think you're crazy. Or even at church. I mean, the very, very few people at church can relate to some of the unique things you're walking through, but these guys can, and if they can't exactly relate to it, they can relate to just kind of the macro level. Yeah, we get it. We get that there's some weird things and there's some hard things on this, and you don't have to explain yourself.
Right.
We get it.
Yeah. Just in case you were making a turn in that crucial moment, Jason just said, you don't have to explain yourself. You don't. We understand we understand. We may not understand the exact details, but we know the pain of the story. We know the story, the joys of the story.
Yeah.
You don't have to explain yourself. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's great. I love
And
it.
if things happen to be going great for you right now,
Oh, yeah.
we're excited that you're here too.
No, yeah.
You may
for
not
sure.
tell us
Yeah.
every amazing thing that's going great for you if somebody else is struggling, but it's a joy.
Yeah.
It really is a joy as a father, and so it's going to be fun just hanging out.
I'm convinced that if you have that joy, oh boy, I'll just say it because I don't have to be if you show your joy spot to somebody, well, then somebody's going to have a similar joy too.
There you go.
I don't know if that's the right picture we want to have in our head, but we'll go there.
Something about their soccer balls will touch each other. I don't know.
Maybe we need tattoos. I don't know. We'll get joy tattoos.
No, for sure. We want to. Again, it's celebrate the joys, because you put yourself in your normal environment at work or in your neighborhood or at church, and you celebrate the joys of this. The vast majority of people around you don't understand. this is a place that we want to celebrate those things, and then also, and I think it gives hope, especially to guys that might not be in a place where it feels like joy. Um, so there's just a lot of freedom that, there's none of this, well, that guy just shared something hard, and how dare me follow that with something, good. No, we don't.
Right.
We're not going to play that game. You don't have to explain yourself. Because I do think this is an incubator in which hard things are exasperated and made especially hard, and also really good, beautiful things are magnified and made, and they're just especially good.
Yeah.
And so we want to celebrate and honor both of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
great. I can't wait. I'm getting excited
Yeah.
for it.
It's great.
It's
We may go up a week early just to be honest.
let's do that.
Well, I mean, the cabin's bougie enough that I wouldn't mind staying there longer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of things, and so guys, as you're driving, I hope you're getting excited, getting ready to explore, getting ready to learn, getting ready to share, because I can't help but believe that all of us are going to go away with something, and that's going to be what we need. God's going to give us what we needed for this trip.
Sure.
So, Justin, thank you for putting this together and for having this vision to do a dad's collective like this. And Jason, thank you for all the work that you've done for years and years and years. And so I'm just excited now to be part of the team, kind of bask in your guys' glory and just.
But I'll just
learn.
tell you, Steve brought it up a notch this year, and so this is our second retreat to do, and I'm really excited about some things that he has brought to the table, including this interview right now. So.
Yeah. Being able to share stories, and because a lot of dads are in their cars or in their headphones a lot, so why not give them something to listen to?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's it.
I love it. I'm pumped to be there. Thanks,
Alrighty.
guys.
Hey, Jason, thank you very much for everything. Justin, anything?
We'll see you soon.
Yeah.